Hello everybody, welcome to Photoshop Magic. My name is Sophal and today we're going to be talking about the first of the Marvel superheroes, and I'm going to have many of them. And just a disclaimer, this video is going to be quite long, um, so if you can't finish it at one sitting, you can always just continue later on. So basically, as you can tell by the thumbnail here, we have a before and after. This is the Marvel superhero double exposure effect. Okay, so we're gonna have Robert Downey Jr., who's also Iron Man, and we're just gonna combine the two together, and it looks amazing. Okay, so as stated, this video is gonna take a little while, so just bear with me. Okay, okay, so if you haven't already, this channel, focuses on the magical and creative power of Photoshop and is designed for anybody who has no prior knowledge to get him or her excited and aspire to master Photoshop at the basic and intermediate level. So if you haven't already, please click on that subscribe button and like and turn on that notification bell so you are notified the moment a video is posted. And again, if the video is too long, you can always just speed it up, and hopefully it'll be funny enough to turn your bad day to an amazing day. Um, yeah, so as always, you want to give credit to the owner of the photograph, use if it's allowed. So note that this video may contain affiliate links in the description below. Thank you very much. So as a disclaimer, so basically this video and the description may contain affiliate links. That means that if you click on any of the links, any of the products, you will I will receive a small commission for connecting you, the buyer, with the seller that provides a special link for this channel. It doesn't cost you any extra. All it is just, connecting the buyer and the seller, me as the middleman connecting the two. So this helps support the channel and allows me to create more amazing videos. And everything that I say in this video is solely my opinion. So please do your own research before making any purchase decision. Thank you for the support. Okay, so this is my attribution, licenses and attribution for the images that I use, the two images. So the first one is from Pixabay of this just Iron Man, and the second one is for Robert Downey Jr. and this one is through Flickr. Okay, Flickr.com, Common Creative. So you see right there. So I'm going to be showing you guys in a little bit. So all these information, they're in my description below. Okay, so and if you see any mistakes in there with the licenses and attributions, please let me know and it'll be corrected. This is to the best of my knowledge. Okay, perfect. So let me show you where I got my images from. So the first one, I did a search on Iron Man, and this one came up. So as you can see, it's Pixabay license, free for commercial use, no attribution required. It's always best, give the attribution. Giving credit to the contributor or Pixabay is not necessary, but it's always appreciated by our community. So, which allows their work to be spread out also for me making this video. Okay, and the second one is just Robert Downey Jr. right here from Flickr, and Flickr 2. It's Creative Commons. This one falls under, as you can see right here. If you right click on it, click link, you will be able to see attribution, share alike, 2.0 generic. So this allows us to basically remix, transform, or build upon the material, but we just have to make sure to distribute under the same license. As you can tell, that I did it right here. So it's just right there. Okay, perfect. So without further ado, like I said, it's going to be a long video. I'm pretty excited. This is the beginning of a series of all the Marvel's superheroes that I'm planning on doing with the exact same thing, but with different characters, obviously. Okay, so perfect. So let's get started with Photoshop. So the first thing you want to do is obviously download the two images, right? So you want to just download, click on free download right here, and you want to just pick, the right size. You can pick the highest resolution if you want. Click right there, click download, and you don't even need to. I don't know why this one's asking us to sign in. The first one it didn't. Okay, perfect. So we just have to click on I'm not a robot, click download. It's just come down here, click on right here, the up arrow, and show in folder. And you just gotta make sure that you know where you save your items. Okay, give it a name. copy and paste it to the right folder so you can actually find it later. Okay, do it the same for the other one. And so let's get started. Okay, so the very first thing that we want to do, we want to go to File, and you want to just open up the two images that you want to work with. In this case, it's going to be Iron Man, and we are going to pick this one right here. So I am selecting the first image, which is named, Iron Man. The second one is going to be Robert Downey Jr. down there. And if I left click on the second one also, as you can see, it's going to deselect this first one. What we want to do, if we want to select both of them at the same time, we have to make sure one of them is highlighted. And before we click on the second one, you have to hold the control button down and tap and left click on it. And as you can see, they're both selected. And then we're just going to click on open, and they're both going to be opened up. So the first one's going to be this one right here with the Iron Man, and the second one is with Robert Downey Jr. And as stated before, we are going to make a double exposure of Iron Man being the bigger one, and then Robert Downey Jr. in the center somewhere. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to start with a picture that you want to be the one that is bigger, which in this case is Iron Man. Okay, so the very first thing that we want to do is we want to go to the quick selection tool right here, and we want to right click on it, and there's three different options. The one that we want is the quick selection tool, and we want to you can also change the brush size to match what it is that you want. I think this is the right size for it, so it's good for me right now. As you can see, I made a mistake right there, so I'm going to do a Control Z. Bottom left of the keyboard, CTRL. We're going to hold the control down, tap Z, undo it. It's that easy. So that is a keyboard shortcut to undo something. So if you ever make a mistake, you can always just do that. Okay. All right. So we want to basically drag on the area that we actually want to keep. Okay. So we can start anywhere. We can start from the very top, left or right. I think because there are so many small areas right here, we just want to start in the leg area. It's a lot smoother. Okay, so we're just going to left click, hold, and drag on the areas that we want. Just like that. And we just want to, be very careful to be as careful as we can to select the areas that we want. I'm left clicking, holding, and dragging. Just like that. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, this tool is not perfect, and it's easy to fix. So as you can see there, it's selecting all of these backgrounds that we don't want. Okay, so what we want to do on the keyboard, there's bottom left is an Alt key, ALT. You want to hold that down, and as you can see, the plus sign changes to a minus sign. Once I hold the Alt button down, it changes to a minus sign, and I'm going to keep on holding it while at the same time I'm going to left click, hold the left mouse, and then paint over the areas that we do not want. Okay, just like that. And you just want to be extra careful right there. Perfect. And this area too. Perfect. And then you just paint this area. Just be extra careful. Perfect. And then there's another section right here too. Perfect. I think that looks amazing. All right, cool. Okay. So as I stated earlier, if you've made any mistakes so far with your image that you have, because I'm pretty sure your image is going to be a little different, you can always do a Control Z to go backward, and then obviously hold the Alt button down and left click and drag to the areas that you want. As you can see, you can't really see because I have two screens right now if I move between them, and that's why you don't see the ant selected anymore, but on your screen you should still have it selected. And as I have stated in my other videos too, make sure you do not click away because every click counts. If an area is certainly not clicked or not highlighted before you go on to the next one, it might not have the effect that you want. Okay. All right, so this next part is super important that we have to do, okay? And for the latest version of Photoshop, which is the one I'm using right now, after we've made that selection, so I'm going to come back to the screen right here to make sure it's highlighted, okay? We have to go to the Select tab. So I have to hold the Shift button down on my keyboard first. So I'm holding Shift on the keyboard, go to Select tab, and we're going to click on Select and Mask, okay? So while holding the Shift button on the keyboard, I'm going to left click right here where it says Select and Mask while this one is selected. Perfect. And as you can see, it's just a rough draft right now of Iron Man and with the background removed. So this part we have to do, or else when we bring the other image over, it's not going to conform to this image that we have right here. Okay, and each photo is unique. We want to just change the radius a little bit to around like 26 or so, just to make it good, smooth. You want it to be extra smooth right here, feather. And beauty of Photoshop is that there are so many different settings that you can play around with to make it, look unique to the situation that you want. So as you can see, the higher your radius is, the less clear it is. So we want the radius to be as low, kind of a little bit, so it's not as blurry. Okay. So what we want is after this, we want to left click and paint on the edges. Okay. So I'm left click, hold, and I'm gonna paint. So as you can see, even if my paint is on the body of Iron Man right here, it's still not affecting anything. Okay. Well, this part does not have to be perfect. It just needs to cover all the surrounding areas of Iron Man and make sure there's no empty spaces in between them, just like that. So, and if you happen to release the left, you don't have to redo it. It's just that's a bit less inconvenient. So throughout this whole thing, just make sure you paint as much as you can, just around him to make sure it's like this, and it's gonna look a lot nicer when you release it. It's not gonna look like this. Okay, so this is just telling the computer that of where the edges are. Okay, and this bottom section right here too. Just want to do it like that. Perfect. So now I can just release the left button, and as you can see, it just looks a lot clearer and cleaner. Perfect. Okay, after we've done all that, we need to create a clipping mask for that selected area. And you have to make sure that the background layer right here is selected. Okay, so now that we've done all this, we can click OK and just let it save real quick. And we have to make sure that this background layer section is highlighted because it's the only one, so it should be very easy. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is after that, you want to go to the bottom right and click on the black circle with the rectangle around it, this one right here. And once you click on it, you're going to see another, like a chain effect with a black and white area right here. The white section indicates, Iron Man, where he's the only one left in there. And also the black area is just empty space background. And that looks amazing right now. And as I have stated in the past of all my videos, anything software related, computer related, it's prone to crash or something could go wrong. That's just the reality of life. Okay, so we just have to always make sure that we save our work. Okay, we want to go to File, and we save our work, and just click on Save, and save to this computer, so we can feel a little bit better. Okay, so we got Iron Man, double exposure. Okay, double exposure, final. Okay, and we're gonna click Save. And the very first file that we want is leave it as is with the Photoshop file, because even if this was our final work, we want to be able to make changes in the future if we so choose. So we do have that ability. If we didn't save it as a Photoshop format, we wouldn't be able to have access to all these layers, all these formats, all these masking. It will just be a flat plain image. It's just like flat all together, merge, and you wouldn't want that. Okay. All right. So now that we save it, we can feel a lot more comfortable with moving forward. Okay. Okay. So now we need to go to the other image. Okay, so the other image of this one right here, we need to cut Iron Man out. We don't want the background, we just want him. And because it will look a lot better when we drag him all the way to the other one. Now that we have saved, every few minutes or so, I would highly recommend you use a keyboard shortcut to save it every few minutes. So if something does go wrong, we know that we only lost a few minutes of work because the latest save got saved. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to go to the second image, which is this one right here. And so as always, if the image is too far out or too far in, you can always just zoom in or out by holding the control button down and tapping the plus button to zoom in, just like this, and the minus sign while holding the control button to zoom out. I think that's perfect right now. Okay, so very first thing we want to do is we want to go to the selection tool and right click on it. So the selection tool is right here. Right here. Mark the quick selection tool. Okay, you want to click on that. It gives you three options. You want to click on the quick selection tool. So for that one, what we want to do is we want to left click, hold, and drag over the background. This one is kind of like the opposite, where we have to highlight the background that we do not want, okay, instead of the other one that we want, okay. So for this one, I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. It is kind of small, so we're going to come up here. So I'm going to make the size a little bit bigger, even more bigger. Perfect. And I'm just going to left click, hold, and drag. As you can see, I'm staying away far from the image itself. I'm just going to drag around the edges right here, and it will know the areas I do not want. Like this section right here, we do not want. Perfect. All right. And then let's just say we, didn't make a mistake in here. We accidentally highlight the arms area. Super easy to fix. As you can see, the areas that's highlighted right now is the areas that we did not want. So it's going to cut his, half of his body. We did not want that, okay? So if we did make a mistake, you see there's a plus sign right now. We're going to hold the Alt button down, bottom left of the keyboard, and we are going to, and it changes to a minus. And we just have to left click and drag just like the other one. We're going to paint the areas that we do want to be back in just like that. Perfect. And now we're going to let it save. And now there's a small section right here too. As you can see, I have released the Alt button down. So we're just going to continue. So we're just going to left click, hold, and drag. And I'm staying as far from him as possible. So because the computer will do the rest, it will recognize empty space and also the areas we do want. Perfect. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go to the select tab and we'll click on modify and smooth, okay? So as you can see, mine got deselected because I went to my second window, my second screen that you do not see. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to left click on it. So yours should look like this. We are going to go to select tab and we are going to go to modify. We're going to go to smooth, okay? So we're going to click on it. And for this number, you can change any number that you want. Ideally, each image is different, so obviously want to, play around with the numbers a little bit. It should be between, 6 to like 10. So in this case, we'll click 8. Then click OK. So let us do its thing. Okay, so once we are happy, we can left click, hold, and drag the background layer to the plus icon with the square around it at the bottom right. Okay, so we got to make sure that this part is selected. I'm going to left click, hold, and drag to this plus section right here, just like that. And basically that makes a copy of it. So as you can see, we have a new background copy. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the background layer is still selected, and we're going to make sure that this new one is selected, and we're going to tap the delete button on the keyboard. And if we click on this eye right here to turn it off and on, you will be able to see. So now what I did was I turned the eye off for the original background, and all we see is a background copy. This background copy is just of Iron Man. okay, which is pretty cool. And as always, if you have made any mistakes so far, if you a few mistakes or any of that, you can use the Control Z to go backward. Okay. So it's been a few minutes. It's like I said, it's always best to save your work. So we're gonna. It takes a few seconds. So we're just gonna hold the Control button down. And we're gonna tap S. As you can see on the very bottom, it didn't really do anything, but it saved it. So I can feel a lot more comfortable knowing that the work got saved. And we can always continue this until we are happy with our selection. So now I'm quite happy with all the selection. Okay, so it's literally complete. We have to just make sure that we come back to this move tool. So we have to go back to the move tool to be able to move him to the next image that we have. Okay, perfect. So now that we're over here, gonna make sure we have that and we can actually move him around. And that looks pretty amazing, right? So now we're getting to the exciting part, okay? So we gotta make sure that the selection tool is selected. So it's upper left hand corner, the move tool. You have to make sure that the move tool is selected. We're gonna left click, hold and drag. This section, if you haven't done it before, it can be a little bit tricky, but the whole idea is we're gonna left click, hold and drag just Iron Man himself without the background from up here, and we're gonna left click, hold and drag him up here, and then we're going to come this side right here, and then it's gonna automatically change to the other image, and then we're gonna actually just come down and release the left fold. Okay, so let me actually just show you. We're gonna left click, hold and drag Iron Man. I mean Robert Downey Jr. So we're gonna go up here and we're gonna go to the second image right here that we have prepared. And as you can see, once I have come across the second title, it changes automatically to this image. And there's a plus sign next to the arrow. And all I have to do is just make sure that I'm in here in the space somewhere here. And I'm just gonna release the left arrow. And he's gonna be super big. And if you've never done it before, it might look a little bit intimidating or strange, but that's just the way it is, okay? So we just have to make sure that this background copy is still highlighted. And what you want to do is you want to be able to resize it, okay? To do that, you want to hold the control button down, bottom left of your keyboard, CTRL, and you tap T. As you can see, it changes to this format right here that we're able to free transform it in Photoshop, okay? So if I hover over the left corner, you'll see these double arrows. And after that, we want to left click, hold, and then drag inward to make it a bit smaller. And I want to leave just a little bit of room right here for us to be able to drag him back up. So we can make it smaller again and repeat that until we get it to the right size that we want, okay? So now I'm going to left click, hold when it's this arrow right here to drag him up. And now I want to hover until I see these double arrows. I'm going to left click and hold and drag to make him smaller, just like that. And I just want his face to just be right below the neck. I think that looks amazing. We don't want to block Iron Man's face in there. Just like that. I think we'll just make him a little bit smaller so it's a little bit more conforming. Perfect. I think that looks amazing. What we're going to do right now is just going to click the check mark, just like that. And I think since that looks amazing, we're just going to hold the control button. We're going to click save, S to save. Perfect. You see on the bottom right there, it's really fast. Okay, next thing we want to be able to do is super important, is that we want to make a brand new layer called layer 1. Make sure the layer 1 or background copy right now, the new one, is highlighted if it's not already. And we're going to right click on it. We're going to create a clipping mask. Okay, going to right click on it. We are going to create a clipping mask. And if done right, you should be able to see the left arrow right here and the image. It blends the two images together because we already trimmed the background from here. It knows, the areas of like a little Iron Man, and once this is done right, you can actually left click, hold and drag, and we can still drag him around like that, and it looks as if he's moving around. So we just want him to be somewhere in the middle, so you can still see him, and that looks super awesome. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna save again. Okay, so we want to make sure that the background copy is still selected, and we want to make a third layer. Okay, so to make a third layer, we go to the bottom right, and click on the plus sign right here. Put the square around it. And you can see it will say layer 1 is our third layer. And what we want to be able to do is after that, we want to left click, hold, and drag it to the very bottom. So if you're not familiar with Photoshop, all these layers, all it means is that it's like a hamburger bun or a hamburger. So the bun is the top part, and then we have everything else in between, and then we have a bottom bun. So anything that's on the bottom is going to be the background, the one that if something is blocking it, you can't really see it. So we want this third layer, which is the one that's blocking everything, which is empty space right now. We want it to be at the very bottom so it doesn't block anything. Okay, we want to left click, hold, and drag. As you can see these turquoise lines, and that's when you know it's going to go down, when you see the turquoise line. So we want to just release it, make sure it's at the very bottom. And the next thing that we want to be able to do is we want to go to the paint bucket tool, and we just want to make the foreground, make sure this foreground is white. We want to go to the paint bucket tool right here. We'll right click on it to give us these three options. Click on paint bucket and make sure that the layer 1, the one that we just dragged down to the very bottom, is still selected. Okay, so we just come down here, we're gonna left click on it, and it's gonna turn the whole background white. The reason why is because this foreground is white. Okay, perfect. And again, we're just gonna save it. I'm gonna save it every few minutes I got because we want to make sure that this project is done right. Okay, the next thing that we want to be able to do is we want to go to the selection tool for the layer 1 to the very top layer now. Go to the selection, go to the new layer 1, which is now on the very top. This background copy. Okay, this background copy. Go back to the background copy I meant. And we want to make sure that it's highlighted. And we are going to create a clipping mask. Okay, we're going to right click on it. We are going to create a clipping mask. Okay, we already created a clipping mask. Okay, perfect. So to be able to do that, to be able to create this clipping mask for it, we want to go to the small black circle down here with a rectangle around it. We're going to click on it. As you can see, there's going to be a chain and there's going to be a new white rectangle around it. If you see that, you've done it right. Okay. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, it's created a clipping mask down there. Okay. So after all of that, you got to make sure that the first image, which is this background copy right here, is still selected, and we want to left click on it. We want to left click on the first image right there, make sure the second one's not selected, and perfect. And after all that, we can make more changes to this normal section right here. So all these effects that it's gonna go through is only gonna affect the first Iron Man right there. Okay, so you can pick the one that you like most. So we can be normal, which is the normal one, dissolve, darken, multiply, burn, linear. We can dodge color. I kind of like linear dodge. Yeah, that looks amazing right there. Okay, so before we forget, I want to make Iron Man a little bit bigger. Iron Man himself, because as you can see, there's a lot of empty space back there, and we're gonna make both of them a little bit bigger. Okay, it's kind of small. Okay, we want to left click right here with move tool, and we want to make sure that Iron Man, which is down here, select it, and we're going to left click on him. We're going to do Control T, and you know that it Iron Man is this one right here because Control T will allow us to resize it. We're just going to do that. So we just want him to be as big as possible in there. Perfect. We're just going to click OK. As you can see, it doesn't look right now. But what we want to be able to do is we want to left click right here, and we can do a Control T also, and we can actually move Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. back there just like that. And it looks like he's inside and also outside at the same time. So we're gonna click OK. Perfect. I really like this a lot, so we're gonna click on Control S and save it. Okay. So now we're gonna save as. So the biggest difference between save and save as is that save as is a totally separate file it does not affect the original save. Whatever you have saved up to that point is the original save. Save as, you can rename it as like a totally separate file that is like a totally separate project, okay? Of different changes that you want and different addition that you want, okay? So we're gonna click Save As, and as you can see, I named the first one Marvel Iron Man Double Exposure 1. We're gonna name this 2, Final 2. So we're gonna put, and we have the original one, we also have 2. And we're gonna, as always, we're gonna save it as the Photoshop first, okay? So we're gonna click Save, and we're gonna click OK. We're gonna let it save real quick, and I'm gonna go back to File, and we're gonna click Save. And this time, we are going to, because this I like this image a lot with the two together, we're gonna change the format to a JPEG. And again, I just did a save as, so a save as, it's totally separate. The first one was a 2, but it was a 2 of the Photoshop format. This is a JPEG, so it won't affect each other. It's a different format, so we can click save. And it's gonna ask me the quality of it. We're gonna click OK. Perfect. So now I feel a lot more comfortable making changes knowing that this one got saved. So if something were to go wrong that I don't like, I don't really care because I actually have it saved already. I can just close out of this one, not save it, knowing that the other one I can just reopen back at any time. Okay, so I can just continue on to click on any of these. We got lighter color, soft, vivid, um, yeah. So there's just so many different effects that we can choose from. This one looks pretty amazing too. It's like a black and white version. So this one looks amazing too. So we're going to go to File. We're going to Save As. And to make it a little bit more distinctive, instead of 2, I'm going to put black and white. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to click Save. And there you go again. We're going to go to File. We're going to Save As again. And this time, we're going to save instead of Photoshop. We're going to save as JPEG also. Perfect. And there you are. And just to show you guys that the work has been done, we're going to go back to the original file, so where we saved it. So as you can see right here, we just saved it as black and white right there. This is the Photoshop version. You can see the Adobe Photoshop, and this is the JPEG version. So if I double click on it, it's going to open it up in a format that can be read by like a phone or a computer, and that looks super awesome. Let me just zoom in a little bit. You can just move around. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Okay, cool. And then we also have the other ones, just so you guys can get used to the Save As feature. And this is the first one that we did. The one with the transparency almost looks like he's blending in with Iron Man. That looks super awesome. Okay, and that's basically it. Again, thank you for if you tagging along. So if you haven't already, please smash that like button so it can be suggested to more people for the YouTube algorithm. And as always, I hope you have a great day.